Hi, welcome back to Poor Man's Barbecue. Today we're going to be talking about mops. And this is a question I get quite often when it comes to barbecuing, and that is, what the heck is a mop? Now, a lot of people, they think it's a mop, but it's not. So a mop is one of two things. A mop is a device that's used to put a marinade, which we call a mop, onto your meats. And generally, it will look something like this. So this is a mop. I made this. It took me probably less than 5 minutes, and I'm going to show you how to make one. We use these to apply the marinades to the meats. And the marinade itself will be called a mop. Basically, we want to really soak this in the marinade, and then we dab it on the meats. Now, you can get these mops already pre-made. There are different online barbecue shops you can get this from, or specialty cooking stores such as like Williams Sonoma or something like that. The funny thing is that you're going to find that a lot of these mops that you find online are actually pretty expensive. You know, anywhere from $10 to $35. And honestly, all it is butcher's twine and a stick. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to make these mops. It's very simple and super inexpensive, and this is Poor Man's Barbecue. So the whole thing is really about saving some money, is it not? And also creating delicious foods on a budget. Not everybody has to spend $200 or $300 every time they want to use their smoker. So a lot of what I'm going to do on this channel is going to show you how you can have amazing foods in your smoker and do it for a budget. And one of the ways is to make your own barbecue equipment. So let me start by saying what we do normally is, so I bought these dowels. This is a 3/8 inch dowel. I bought it at the local hardware store. It came in a 4-foot length. It was $1.99. Pretty cheap, right? So what we want to do is we want to take this and turn it into this. Now, how do you do that? It's very easy. So what we're going to do is we're going to just use butcher's twine. Now, I bought this at the local supermarket. This roll of twine here was $2.99. So really, for under $10, you're going to be able to make your own mop, and you're going to have enough twine and enough dowels that you'll be able to make 3 or maybe 4 of them. Typically, I only use the mops, each individual mop, maybe 3 or 4 times that I smoke. And the reason for that is that it starts to kind of fall apart. Not only that, but deep inside the mop, it's kind of difficult to clean. So you can rinse it and rinse it and rinse it, put some soap on it, wash it really thoroughly. You can soak it in bleach or vinegar or whatever you want, and then rinse it very thoroughly again to get all that cleaning agent out of there. But typically I'll only keep this, I'll use it probably 3, maybe 4 different times that I'm smoking, and then I just toss it and I'll make a new one. They're very cheap, they're super inexpensive, and they're just a great way of applying your marinade or your mop to your meats. So let me show you what we do here. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to use the butcher's twine. And what I like to do is I usually wrap it around something, but today I'm just going to go ahead and sort of loosely wrap this. And we're going to need a lot of it, so maybe we can find something we can wrap this around, but it doesn't look like I can. So we're just going to wrap this. Funny. My beautiful cabin. Took me years to save up to buy this cabin. Anyways, so what we're going to do is we're just going to kind of wrap it around your hand. You can use a phone, you can use whatever you want. And again, this one I'm not really being too fussy about because I already made one. But what we want to do is we want to take this, we want to get a ton of wraps around it. I'll go maybe, 40 or 50 times. We just wrap it loosely around your hand. Don't go too tight because you want to have a decent amount hanging off of the end of your mop. Between I don't know, 3 or 4 inches anyways. So we're going to just loosely wrap this. We're just about there. A few more times around. This is going to be a short video today, and this is just on what mops are. So here we go. I think that's enough for demonstration purposes. Okay, so now I just use a kitchen knife to cut it with. You can use a pair of scissors. Now what I want to do is I want to take it still as it is like this. So I've got my wrapped up twine here. And then one end of it, I'm going to kind of go into the middle where the wraps are. And I'm going to insert my dowel. Now what I want to make sure is that I have, I don't know, about 1 inch of dowel covered by the twine. And then we're going to wrap this. We're going to wrap it and wrap it nice and tight, by the way, because you don't want your mop falling off into the middle of your food. So we're going to wrap this and nice and tight. We want to keep those strands on there. Go nice and tight. There we go. That is good. That is nice and tight. Now I want to cut off a little bit extra here because I'm going to tie off the end so it doesn't come undone. We can put this away now. We don't need it anymore. Now we're just going to loop this around, and I'm just going to tie this off. Very simple, quick thing to do. Takes really no time. Boom. All right, this is a mop. Now, of course, it's not really done yet, but oh, my dog's getting into trouble out there. Okay, so now we've got the loops on the end. We don't want the loops. We want to make sure we cut all those loops. We want to have nothing but open ends, no looped ends. Just my preference. I mean, I don't know that there's a reason why you'd need to do it where you don't have any loops, but I don't like it, so I don't do it. Yeah, all cut through. So as you can see, this is the idea. This is a mop. Now this one's kind of small. Usually I use something a little larger to wrap my ends around. Oh, and here comes my daughter. So we've got our completed mops. This one's a little small. It was really just for demonstration purposes. I could have made it bigger. But this is generally about what I would normally have. And they call it a mop because, well, it looks like a mop. So, the whole point of having this is that you need something to dip this in to apply to your meats. So, what we do is we are going to make a mop. Now, mops can be multiple different things. And a lot of it can really be depending on your tastes or what you're cooking. So, today I'm going to make a pork mop. And this would be something that I would use for ribs. I would use for pork butts, like a Boston butt, to make pulled pork. I would use this. I do use it on beef from time to time. I do like the flavor. I think it's pretty universal. But it's a very simple process. So what we're going to do is, as always, especially with pork, brown sugar. So what we're going to do is we're just going to put in some brown sugar in here. We'll call it about a half a cup of brown sugar. Now this is, the reason we want so much is because we're going to be applying this right onto the outside of the meats, as you would with a marinade or a baste or anything like that. They're all basically the same thing. This is basically a marinade. So we do use that. Next, I use apple cider vinegar. And this is perfect for pork. The vinegar will help cut the fattiness of the pork. It helps get that fattiness off your tongue, and all this is going to have amazing flavor together, especially with pork. So we're going to add in with this about a cup. So, well, about a little bit, yeah. That's about a cup. And again, if you watch my previous videos, you'll realize I don't really measure anything. I eyeball everything. I've been cooking my whole life. When I see it, I know that the amounts are correct. It's just something that you end up knowing in time. So now the other thing that we tend to do is I will use with pork apple juice or apple cider. Now apple cider is a little bit out of season right now, so what I'm going to be using is 100% apple juice. This is just a store brand apple juice. This is nothing serious. We're just looking for some flavor, some apple flavor to add to the meats. So let's pour in, again, about a cup. And that was about all we had in there, so that worked out perfect. Now, these mops, we do want to have some kind of flavor to this. So what we're going to do is we're going to add in some paprika. And again, because it's a mop and not a rub, we're going to go pretty light on this. We're going to put in, I would say, let's call it 2 tablespoons, maybe less. But I would say 2 tablespoons to be fine. There's about 2 tablespoons. Looks good. Now we're going to add in some powdered garlic. Oh, that's a brand new one. So this one, we're going to put in about a tablespoon. Now here, we've got some powdered onion. We don't need a lot. Again, like with the garlic, this is not the dry rub. This is just the mop that we're going to be going over the meats with while they're in the smoker cooking. So again, I'm going to add about a tablespoon to 2 tablespoons. That's good. And because I often like to have a little bit of a Southwest flavor, I am going to add a little tiny bit of cumin. I think it's important. It does add a certain flavor that you'll find will kind of be missing if you don't use it. But I'm not going to use a lot. I'm going to use about a teaspoon. Alright, so we've got about a teaspoon in there. Now, if you're like me, I am a heat freak. So I like my mops and my barbecue spicy. I want my eyeballs to sweat. Not everybody likes that, so when I'm cooking for multiple people, I do tone it down quite a bit, but I do like to have a little bit of heat in the background. So one thing that we're going to use to get that heat is some red pepper flakes. And we don't need much. Remember, these are going to go quite a bit. And if you're cooking for other people who don't particularly care for heat, or if you don't care for heat, you do not have to add this. You can put something else in for a flavor. You can put in pepperoncinis. You can use diced jalapenos, anything like that. You can use peppers, any kind of pepper that's going to have a tiny little bit of heat, but a nice flavor. So today we're just going to use these red pepper flakes. So we're going to add a little bit of that in. That's plenty. That's about a teaspoon. Now, again, because I like heat and I love the flavor of peppers, I'm going to put in a little bit of cayenne pepper sauce. This is a national brand that I'm sure you all know. I'm not going to say the name of it because guess what? They don't sponsor me. If they want to sponsor me someday, that'd be great. I use this stuff in a ton of my barbecue. I love the flavor. It has, to me, because I love spice, this really has almost no heat to it at all. It's very mild as far as I'm concerned. But the flavor that it gives to the rubs and everything else is just, I love it. So we're going to add in this, and we're going to put in about a teaspoon. Now that's more than enough. All right, give me a minute. I'll bring you over to the stove. I'm going to show you what we're going to do with this. Okay, so we've got the mop on the stove. And what we're going to do here is we want to heat this up to the point where the brown sugar melts completely, and also that these red pepper flakes really impart their spice. We want to get the oils in the red pepper flakes to kind of break out of there and get into the mop itself. We want that heat. So what we've got it set on right now is basically a high heat. Just take a minute to boil, and we're going to get this all broken down and dissolved. So give me a couple of minutes and I'll bring you back once it's up to a boil. Okay, so we are at the type of boil I'm looking for. So at this point, I want to shut the heat off. It's important that we don't let the mop go above 325 degrees because the brown sugar will burn. So let's turn the heat off now. We don't want that brown sugar burning. We don't want to have kind of an acrid, gross taste. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to stir this for a few minutes. We want to make sure that this mop, that the brown sugar is completely dissolved. We don't want any crystals at all. We want 100% dissolved. And I can just tell by running this spoon over the bottom of the bowl here, the pan rather, that the brown sugar has completely dissolved. I don't hear it scraping on brown sugar in there at all. And man, let me tell you, the smell is unbelievable. So again, this here is the mop that I would use for pork. I would use this on beef. This is great on, even on chicken, this is great. I will use this on just about everything. You can adjust this, of course, to different things, different ingredients for your particular flavors. Things I would not use this on would be things like fish. I would not use this on chicken breasts, although I would use it on thighs because they are very greasy. But I would not use it on chicken breast. Anything that has a very light flavor, this will definitely overpower it. But with pork and with beef and with chicken thighs, chicken wings, chicken drumsticks, it is really great. It partners very well. It really gives it a nice flavor. So that's my video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll put up another one next week. So now you do know what the difference between a mop, and a mop is. One is for the floor, another one's to apply a mop, and another one is to be applied by a mop. At any rate, I hope you enjoyed yourself and you learned a little bit something here today. Next week I'm going to be putting up, probably I'm going to be doing a smoked meatloaf, and I may even include some sides on that one for you guys. So tune in next week if you're a meatloafer like I am, and my wife is an absolute meatloaf fiend. You'll enjoy it. And again, the meatloaf recipe that I'm going to give you guys is super cheap. You'll be able to feed your entire family for probably about $20 for 3 days. This is probably for about a family of 4. At any rate, enjoy your day, and don't forget to click like and subscribe, and I hope I see you again soon.